All right, welcome back to the shop. This is tape 23 to 25 build series. Um, so when we last left off, we were working through the elevators and the horns, and now we're on to finishing up the elevators and flaps. But off camera, I did a little bit of work. I had some time. I cut it to the size, sanded it in, I rounded it off. I'm going to show you how I rounded it off. I tried something new with a router. Um, I'm much happier with it. I think it came out much nicer. So on both of these, now I got to make the hinge pockets. I'm going to embed the carbon in the tail, and then we're going to work on tapering them. I'm going to do the same thing on the flaps as well. The flaps, I got one flap where it's rounded off already. I still got to cut it to size. I got to cut hinge pockets. So I have one to do. I'm going to show you how I kind of go through that. All right. All right, so I'm just going to finish making sure they're round just like I want them. So just look down and make sure they're symmetrical, rounded. Just be careful not to press too hard because the wood is soft. Especially this 5 pound and 4 pound balsa. This happens to be 4 pound. These elevators are pretty light. I mean, right now before tapering, they're ½ an ounce. Okay, enough there. I'm just going to transfer my hinge marks here. So I'll use 2 hinges on each elevator. So I'm kind of marking the center ones in a little bit. Alright, so what I do to cut the hinge pockets, just really simple. I have a plywood tee, and what it has, it's got a piece of plywood that's glued to it with a piece of sandpaper to give me the right size indent to kind of recess the hinge a little bit. And all I do is just see, and you end up with a little pocket. And same thing on this one. Alright, now what I do is I take a pen and kind of just use my finger and go right through the center and just, because this is soft balsa, I take advantage by leaning the pen in to give me a head start on the. Alright, and I have this this hinge tool. I don't know who makes it, but I've seen them before. It's kind of like a saw, and I like it. I think it works really well. You can use an X-Acto knife, and which just put a hook on the end of it and pull out the material. This one I kind of like. You kind of just work it in. Just kind of work it back and forth, pull it out. Just keep working it. First hinge pocket is cut. I'm going to get a hinge out. I use Great Plains hinges. I like these. They use 039 pins in them. So if you want to pull the pins out and make it removable piece, you can as well. And see, it fits in really nice without puckering up the wood. If these are too tight when you shove them in, what happens is the hinge pocket will pucker up. So the first one is good. I just work the second one in. Just take your time here. You don't want to push it to the outside. You don't want to damage it. Like I said, the wood is, it's just 4 pound wood, so it's pretty soft to begin with. So just with a little bit of pressure and just keep working it. And we get the whole blade in. What I'll do is I'll squeeze the pocket a little bit so it takes a little bit more material off. And again, I just make sure the hinge goes like that. All right. The first one done. I'll just work the other side just to get it so. And again, there'll be some more final sanding on this once we taper the flaps as well. Alright, so take my hinge pocket tool, and if you look, I have where the T is a mark. I just line that mark up at the center, so it puts me right in the middle of the hinge pocket. And the step is exactly the same size as a Great Plain hinge. You could recess them more. I'm recessing this is probably about a little more than a 32nd. Maybe 50 thousandths. When you're doing hinging work, this is the way you gotta kind of just take your time. These are one of the things where you gotta be in the mood to do it, I guess, I would say. Alright. Just taking your time and this blade is 60 thousandths. They do come in a set of 3 of these cutters. I forgot who made them. I've had it so long I don't even remember. But you can probably find them online. Somebody makes them. They make ones for 1/4 inch scale hinge pockets. These are 60 thousandths, and then they make even thinner one for like paper hinges, or for like cloth ones, or the CA type thin, really thin ones. Alright, for the hinge. And now on the plain side, what I'll do is, I don't know if you guys seen this, Dubro makes this, it's a center find. This works pretty good. A lot of times I'll eyeball it, but so I know where the hinge goes already because I have it marked. I'll use this to kind of use it as to center the hole. And I'll kind of just push down. Alright, so now you just be careful doing this. And I know my trailing edge is a 1/4 inch piece here. Just take your time, wiggle it back and forth. Cut through it. So now we're going to fit it up, see how we did. pretty good fit up right there. That's one. And what we'll do is do it on the next one. Just find the center and carefully dig into it a little bit. So there's a little bit of a set screw here with a point on it that you can adjust, and that'll actually sink into the wood. So I'm right-handed, so let me. And what I do is I'll just work it in a little bit. I usually make the holes on the plane side a little bit wider than on the hinge side, just to give me some adjustment. Okay. Alright, really nice tight hinge pocket. I look down here at the back, they're equals. Okay, pretty good. Now what I will do is I'll mark. Now I got it exactly where I want. I will mark these. So I have the cut off on them, I do. Good. And I had already previously marked these, but I'll just mark them again. So now I know I'm going to cut it, and what I like to do is I'll move this piece in about 1/8 of an inch, and I'll cut from here back. That's kind of just what the look I like. I like when I cut back a little bit. Probably about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 on the flap. I just like when it runs back. That's the look I like. All right, so those are now pretty much ready for tapering. I just have to embed the carbon. So what I'd like to do is mark these. This is the inboard. So what I'll do is on the inside here, I'll put a little eye. Just so I know. Here I'll put an O. Okay. Alright, now what I do want to do is just kind of run a little line through the back here. So I use this Dubro tool here to kind of let it sink into the wood. And what I like about this is it kind of builds me a little bit of a trough in here. Alright, so 1mm rod. now I'm going to taper to this rod as well, but this rod also really makes that trailing edge a lot stiffer, and it keeps it getting from dinged up. So now because of the little trough I created, the rod will sit right in, and I can just CA it right in place. Like that. Alright, and the excess I'll cut off. Just with a pair of side cutters. So what I do like to do is put extra glue around the edges, because those edges will get lifted up. That one's ready to go. So I just wick CA along it. Alright, again, and it would be surprised how much stiffness that little adds to it. But then when you taper it down to it, you don't end up denting. Alright, so those, they're ready to be tapered, so we'll put them to the side for now. Alright. Now, okay, that's one flap. That's the one that's already rounded. Alright, so we're going to round the second one here. So I'm doing this with a laminate router that I have. And a 1/4 inch round off bit. You got to be careful doing this because you can easily chew a piece. So using the sandpaper I have here to help me hold this piece in place a little bit. What I do is I put this up to the edge of my table. I'm going to use the table as my guide. I happen to have a good piece of 1/2 inch glass that's very straight, and I use it for the ball bearing to run on and cut along on it. The other thing I'll do is I'll take a heavy object and kind of just put it on it. This ruler's pretty heavy, so. And I just take my time while I'm doing this. Alright, so I got the depth set on already. Alright, so it puts a nice round edge on it. I do sand some of it in. I mean, you can still do it the other way where you can taper 45. There's just a lot of sanding. And, I like this finish look better. So but you just, again, you gotta be really careful about not pushing into the wood. I have a table router, which I have one, but it's in the garage. I would set one up with a fence on it. That would probably be even easier. All right. And you get a nice, really round finish on it. Good finish. Just light sanding in, and you're good. I like this on a couple. I did this on someone's plane not too long ago. I really liked how it came out. But if you look, see, nice and round, nice and neat. And like I said, you just finish it off. Just carefully finish it off. I have a long bar here. 33 inch bar. And I just kind of work it in, just making it, just continuing that round curve. Okay. Pretty happy with that. So there you go. All right. We gotta do is we gotta. What I want to do is kind of line them up, and I'd like to put the hinges in roughly the same place. Except when you get to the end, that's a little bit of a challenge. That one's going to be moved in. So it looks like. What's in the... Yeah. Just marking the edge here. It's all marked. Now this one we're gonna figure out where I want to put it. 1 inch in from the edge we'll start. Six and a half. Alright, about every 6.5 inches apart. We'll run 4 hinges in the... Alright, so same setup here. I'm going to do let me just mark the pocket a little bit better. I want to mark the plane as well on here. Alright, so sand out the hinge pockets. Alright, so while I'm doing this, I was talking to someone the other day, and they asked me, why do I participate in this event? So the answer I gave was, one, I love airplanes. I just happen to really have an enjoyment for aviation. The second thing is, this event for me is really the chase for perfection, wanting to be perfect, building a perfect plane, flying a perfect pattern, always continuously improving. That's really the challenge for me here. I don't know why I enjoy it. And I really like to build planes, because building them is just, you're creating something out of nothing. Um, it hones your skills. It keeps your mind thinking. So, you know, for me, it's quite a few things why I fly in this event. So, just thought I would share that. Just taking your time here, being extra careful. You don't want to chew up the pocket. Nothing worse than beat up hinge pockets. Just never looks right. It looks like an amateur did it. So just take your time, especially with softer wood. And again, your eyes are always pretty good. If you use your eyes to make sure stuff is straight. Just all right, got one in, two. All right, that one's ready to go in. Just gotta do the opposite of the plane. Alright, let's just make sure these are marked pretty good. They are. This is one of those tedious jobs that you just gotta be patient. Alright. Same process, just mark the center line. You could use your fingers and your hands. See, you get a pretty good feel and eye for it. When you look at it, you can say, okay, hold it right there, that's the middle. And again, just take your time here. Don't force it. I mean, you can also use that Dubro tool to kind of line it up the center, but this is usually pretty easy to do. This is probably 4.5 pound wood, so it's pretty light and soft, so you just really got to be careful. The only thing bad about light wood is that it's generally soft and soaks up finish, so guess you can't have it all. Okay. Good, I like that fit. Okay. All set up. So you can still get these great plane hinges. A little hard to get. Dubro sells them on a closeout. You can still get them. I just happen to like them. I think they're just... Alright, now on to the... Alright, so... What we're going to carefully mark the center of the wing here. Using the trailing edge, just put a little mark in there. Alright, let's cut the first one. And you just really gotta be very careful here because there is so I have a 1/16 lip on both sides of the skin here, which is going to help me get through this easily. Just take your time, mark the center, don't be in a rush. Just take your time. Just don't force it here because you can. Alright, first pocket's in. Look at that. Very nice. Very happy with that. Put the other side on. Same process on the other side. Using my center finder here, just find the center of the trailing edge. So again, just take your time here. Don't, especially because I know my trailing edge is only 1/16 on both sides. Just take your time. Just wiggle back and forth slowly. All right. Just take your time putting them in. Don't force it here. You have to come back and open up a hinge slot. Come back and open up a hinge slot. Okay. Pretty good. Alright. Alright, so that's how I set the hinge pockets. Now, alright, so now we got hinge pockets all done. We got it ready to be cut. Now, I'm going to move the plane out of the way carefully. On a spot for it. Somewhere out of the way. Alright, what I will do is I'll probably only do one on camera where I show you how to taper it. Only because it's kind of just repeating itself. Alright, so on both sides of the flap it's marked to be cut. So what I'll do is I'll score each side and carefully cut through. Really working on holding my blade 90 degrees to the straight edge. Now you can cut these on a saw, or you can set up a jig and cut them. Just really try to hold my hand parallel to the ground. Pretty good. Okay. Cut the second one here. Just taking your time. I have set up my saw with a taper on it to do this, and it's worked very well. But pretty time consuming to set it up. Again, we gotta sand it anyway, so as long as it's close, we're good. And we're gonna be tapering anyway, so it's really, it wasn't worth the effort to set up the saw. Well, if they were flat, if they were using flat flaps, then absolutely. Again, just really trying to hold this blade 90 degrees. Pretty good. Not bad at all. Hold it 90 degrees to the table and just kind of work it. Just making sure that the roots are equal. Alright, so there's my two flaps. And they're not going to be the same size. The output one is 1/8 of an inch wider at the tip. So that's on the taper, the whole part of it. Okay. Alright, so I use this Dubro tool again. I'm going to embed carbon in the tail of this. 1mm carbon rod. Okay. Alright, so I got long 1mm carbon rod. Alright, so what I'll do stick it in there. Cut off pieces I can use for a rudder or an elevator. Alright, so again, you're gonna just. So what I like to do is just let gravity do its work here. Just run a bead and let it. Just run the bead of CA all the way down at thin CA. And we do the same thing on the other flap. Alright, so what we're going to do is make sure this goes in the middle. Okay. Once you're happy with it, just run a code of CA down it. The CA soaks into the carbon and the balsa. Like you'll never get this out. And the CA is strong stuff, boy. Okay. Alright, so take the leftover pieces, put them back in the balsa rack. Out of curiosity, let's see what they weigh before tapering. 1.35, 110. Okay, I mean I did use the lighter piece on the inboard. I always use the lightest stuff I can on the inboard. 245 altogether, that's what those weigh. And if you want a 3 step, these are extremely stiff and rigid. We're going to tape them, which will take some weight out and should add some strength too because you have a curve on it. 0.55, 0.55, 1.2. Okay, 1.15. So now these are all ready for taping. Alright, so in order to do this correctly, I have my planer I'm going to use, but I set up and cut these. Well, if they're tapered. This has a 1/8 taper in it. This has a 1/4 inch taper. Same thing with these 1/8 and 1/4 inch tapers. So the first one you cut with is marked leading edge and trailing edge. So for example, leading edge would go here, up against the edge, and I run it through the taper. And when I'm done, I'll have the drum will not touch here or barely touch here, and it should be just about to that carbon line. All right, and then when I flip it over, now you have more to make up. So now you have the opposite over here, and this will do the same thing. It'll taper it over here. Then it'll taper down, and then what happens is you'll have it perfectly symmetrical because it's not a straight taper. So that's how I do it. I'll do the same thing for the flaps. I have a 1/8 one, a 1/4 inch one. So what we'll do is set it up first. Let me get the sanding drum out. It's gonna be a little noisy because I run the vacuum with it. The sanding drum I got is pretty neat. Works very good. It's very fine. But what's nice is the vacuum attachment goes on it, and there's almost no dust. That's the other thing. It's really good with it. It was made by this guy, Model Machines. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he really made some nice stuff. take my vacuum hose. Alright, so it is a warm up the hose because it's a really tight fit. It just helps it pull on. Alright. Let's see what's the best way to put this so I can kind of show the work and go through it. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll do the elevators first. So make sure it's on that. Leading edge, yes. Hold it up against the leading edge. And now we gotta set the height. Okay. So you kind of got to do this in stages. You have to get the first one to taper exactly the way you want. Because once you flip it over, you have to run it through the second one until it matches the taper. Can't go back and forth. Alright, so it's going to make a little noise with the vacuum in the machine. And if you see it, you can see it's already starting to taper down. You can see right down it. Now we're almost on the 116. I'm going to go a little more to just kiss the carbon. I'll need a few more thousands here. All right, if you take a look at it, it's nice and tapered. Now we're right up to the carbon where we want to be. So I don't cut into the carbon because I'll hand finish that up. There's a couple spots in here, but the other thing is the basswood. You can see where the 1/8 hole comes in. We'll have to fill that in later. I just got to figure out how far the horn goes in. I think it's after. I think we have plenty of room in there, not a problem. All right, so now that's one. So now what you do is you take it and you put the tapered side down already. And now you're going to start tapering it this way. Put the leading edge up against the leading edge mark. All right, so we'll turn the vacuum back on. So now if you look down it, you're perfectly tapered down it. Just a little bit of hand touch up here. We'll finish this up. So what I'll do is take a block here and kind of just lightly go over it. Make sure the block is clean. All right, and that's one of them there. Out of curiosity, let's see what it weighs now. 0.3. So 0.3 of an ounce. Where's my tooth? Okay. Just finish sanding it off, making sure everything's nice and line. All right, ours is ready now for finishing. Just one spot I'm gonna take out of it there. I can feel a little lump in it. All right, one done. All right, so that's how you do the elevator. Now the flaps. All right, so it's marked leading edge and trailing edge, same thing. So now we're going to run the flaps through. It's the first time I'm tapering the flaps, so let's see how it works out. All right. All right, so same process here. We're gonna go through this one. We're gonna get it set up. Pretty happy with it. I stopped just short of it, so sand the rest in, but it's pretty good. So let's just get it set up. Okay. Oh, no. Hold on here, hold on. Now what you gotta do is you gotta make sure you cut on the right one. The right side. Alright, I got it back. That's why. There we go. Uh-oh. Okay. So yeah, so good thing I don't edit out all the challenges. So I should have made this one is right and the other one is not. Yeah, so that's right. Okay. So then the challenge is you can't just flip it around. Let me just think about this for a second. Oh yeah, I glued the wrong side on, but that might work. That's okay, because all I gotta do is flip it around. All right, so not that bad. This one has a balsa base on it, and I didn't think about it through, but it's okay because you just flip the jig upside down and you're good. How about it? Quality by accident. All right. All right, we end up with a nice set of tapered flaps. The rest will be finished off by hand. I'll sand right up to the edge there. Maybe I gotta make one more pass on the 1/4 inch. One more pass. Just make sure we line this up right. No, we're good. That carbon rod adds a lot of rigidity. Let's just see weight-wise where we ended up. 0.85. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. It came out pretty nice. So with the long bar, I'm kind of going to just finish it off. I'll use my Not bad. Not bad. Just want to finish it up here. All right. Very nice and light. Just gotta take some 220 and just so really nice, dent resistant now. All right, very happy with that. So that's how that's how I taper them. You can use rods. You can put like a 3/8 rod and then a 1/8 rod and then a 1/4 inch rod. And you can do it that way. But I got this really nice planer, so I might as well use it. But overall, that's pretty good. So I'll finish the other two off camera. So hopefully you guys learned something today, or at least got a kick out of it. So this is the end of tape 23, and maybe tomorrow I'll get another one in. We'll see. Thanks for watching. If you like it, click the like button, subscribe, tell your friends. See ya.